I'm here right now with Jim Demers, who is a big supporter of Hillary Clinton. Your title here was, you were the...
I was one of the advisors to the campaign here in New Hampshire.
And you were with Barack Obama back in 2008. You switched over to Hillary Clinton. What went wrong here?
Well, we knew we had an uphill fight being against the next door neighbor. The next door neighbors always win in New Hampshire. That was a hard thing for us. And the voters are in a tough mood this year. I mean, they're not real happy. They're going to vote for Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders tonight. But I think the biggest obstacle was the next door neighbor difficulty. New Hampshire really does stand for the people who live nearby.
There's been a lot of talk that she's going to do a lot of reorganizing with her campaign. She was not happy with the messaging that came out of here, that she should have known ahead of time the discontent of voters, should have sharpened her message in that area, really didn't do so, did not really come back at Bernie Sanders until the last week or so. Did she once again move too late?
Yeah, I think that, the one thing Hillary Clinton did was talk about a lot of issues, and Bernie Sanders stayed, razor sharp on one issue, income inequality. I think, there'll be a discussion about what the topics will be for discussion as we go on to the next round of states. I think you can't talk about too many issues. 3 or 4 key issues are going to be critical. I would not be surprised if gun violence is going to be one of the big issues talked about, because that's an area where Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton have some big differences.
Especially when you're going into South Carolina.
Going into South Carolina, and they both have records, and Bernie Sanders' record on guns is not real progressive. I mean, he has voted against the Brady bill 5 times. He has voted against liability for gun manufacturers. That's not a progressive record on a very big issue.
Especially what happened last summer in South Carolina, and what happened down there. That is still a very big event in the minds of a lot of Democratic voters down there. But Goldman Sachs, Bernie Sanders made a very big point of pointing out that she had received a lot of money from Goldman Sachs over the last couple of years when she was making speeches. And she tried to come back at him yesterday. Was that too little, too late?
Yeah, I mean, I really do think that, Hillary Clinton had her speaking fees, but she does have a record. And Hillary Clinton has stood up against, abusive financial services activities. If you look at the ads that we're running here in New Hampshire, the financial services area, particularly the hedge fund area, their super PAC was really working hard to defeat her because they were afraid of her. So I think that, the record that she has on those issues really speaks for itself, but there needs to be more focus on exactly what her record is.
But if that Goldman Sachs and her support for a lot of bank for the banking industry, which was a very, a big part of her area, her demographic when she was the senator of New York, is that going to haunt her on the trail as she moves south, as she goes to South Carolina, as she goes to Nevada, and she goes into the Midwest and Super Tuesday?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think as we head into the next round of states, it's a different type of politics. First of all, you have a very large Hispanic population coming up, a very large African American population. Some of the issues that didn't resonate here are going to resonate very much so in those southern states. The gun violence issue is a good example. And so I think, the campaign may talk a little bit differently about some of the issues, but I think that's where the real focus will be.
She's expected to speak here to this crowd, which is starting to build, but the room is still sort of half empty tonight. A lot of glum faces. What do you want to hear from Hillary Clinton when she does take the stage and she's at that podium?
Well, look, I was Barack Obama's chairman in 2008 here, so I know what it's like to lose and pick yourself up and keep the fight going and ultimately win the nomination. I think what they want Hillary Clinton to say tonight, first of all, is to congratulate Bernie Sanders and his supporters. They waged a very good campaign here in New Hampshire, but Hillary Clinton is a fighter. She's always been a fighter. The score is 1-1. We won Iowa, he wins New Hampshire. The race goes on. She's going to pick it up and really fight hard to win this nomination.
Thank you very much, Jim Demers, and I have a feeling that will be the big key tonight, how she sharpens her message when she does take the podium and how hard she decides that she is going to go after Bernie Sanders as they leave the Granite State. Back